Hello and welcome back to Building on a Budget Models. I'm Thomas and this is the full build video of the Mazda Eunos Roadster in 1/24 scale by Tamiya. Now my inspiration for this was the Le Mans 24-hour winning 787B from 1991. Mazda actually celebrated that win with 24 limited edition MX-5s in the orange and green livery, but I wanted to go the whole hog and do a full racing modification. Now firstly, when it came to body prep, there weren't too many mould lines, but there were a few lines which I added to with the Tamiya scribing tool. I also removed this section on the top. Now the fluorescent orange needs to go over a white base. This kit is already in white, so I just used a white primer and it went on pretty nicely. I also used my UMP sanding sticks to sand it down. Firstly, we started with fluorescent orange, which I did in 4 coats. I then masked out the pattern. Now it helps to photocopy the decal sheets to give you an idea of how big a space you need to leave. For instance, here for this black section, I used a mixture of Tamiya 1cm and 2cm masking tape and made sure to push it down so as to not get any overspray. I was happy with that. I then did 3 coats of Park Green. Started with mist coats so that it didn't bleed under the masking tape. Pretty happy with that so far. I then masked it again to do the black triangular section on the front, and I also chose to do the window surround in black as the Le Mans car has. Now I then found a load of spare bits in the part box to make it more of a race car. I had this spare rear wing from the Jaguar XJR9, and I know that it's going to be pretty big, but I still think it'll look pretty cool. The underside was done in semi-gloss black, and then I added detail in aluminium to pick out the engine detail. Now the stripes come in 2 parts here. You start off by doing the silver kind of isolation layer to stop the colour from bleeding through underneath, and then when you're happy that that has set, you then add the white layer on top as carefully as possible. Obviously you need to make sure that it all lines up perfectly so as to not show out any silver from underneath. This is a very lengthy process, but I think that the effect in the end is pretty impressive. I ended up with a lot more of the dotted line decals, but I think that may be because the actual car it's intended for is a lot bigger than the MX-5. The decal sheet comes with 2 sets of decals with green so that you can match it as closely as possible to the green paint that you're using. Try to use the panel lines such as these on the edge of the bonnet and around the headlights to work out where the decals were best off fitting. I also masked off this little bit at the back where the silver square started. I wasn't too happy with the position of the numbers on the side, but you know, this car is a lot smaller than the 787B, so it's lucky that these decals fit at all, really. The charged decal went onto the rear wing quite nicely. Used a little bit of super glue and then glued the supports into place I have to trim those a little bit later to fit them onto the car. Then when it came to the undercarriage, this was pretty much all out of the box. Brakes were done in silver with red calipers, and then I added the other parts using super glue, apart from any parts that moved like these, which were left unglued. I've built this car before in a kind of stock form, and I must say that it's a really good beginner's kit, but I've made it a lot more complicated. All these other undercarriage parts of the suspension were done in semi-gloss black. Added a little bit of detail to the brakes and the coils, mainly in silver and red. I also painted the radiator in silver so that it would stand out through the grille. This kit was tooled in 1989 when the Eunos Roadster was new, and I have to say that it still goes together really, really nicely. Very little flash on these parts here. I did consider changing the exhaust to come out of the side, but I decided I couldn't be bothered. Now this roll bar was bought on eBay, there's a link in the description below. It's resin, which means if you're sanding it, please do wear a respirator. There are these kind of sections in the middle here which could be cut out very easily using a craft knife. I then primed it and coloured it green, but also measured up holes in the parcel shelf here and drilled them out using a 1mm drill bit. The front arms will fit down behind where the seats would go. I think that's really nice and effective and fits really, really well. The seat is left over from the Hasegawa Subaru Impreza that I made earlier this year. It comes with this metal support section here. The dashboard is all semi-gloss black apart from a few buttons and a matte grey top. I also added some carbon fibre decals to the door cards. The seat was done in matte black and matte red for the front, and then I used these green vinyl adhesive stickers for the seat belts. Really nice because they stick into place and also they work to kind of hold onto the photo etch. These were just leftover bits of photo etch I had from various different builds. The Sabelt decals came with the Hobby Design kit. Pretty happy with that. I decided rather than to attach these to the roll cage, instead to attach them to the back of the seat, just to keep it neat. I scratch built this fire extinguisher out of some milliput, painted it gloss red, used a leftover decal with some writing on it, and then used some very thin strips of aluminium tape to act as the kind of straps to hold it down. It looks a little bit like a blob of plastic explosive maybe, but in the bottom footwell of the car you can't really see what shape it is, and I think it's pretty effective. The dashboard fits in pretty nicely, and there we have it. Next, I also got this front lip off eBay, painted it in semi-gloss black and then glued it on with some super glue. Fits really nicely. For the window mask, it doesn't come with stickers, so I used some Tamiya curved tape, did the front on the outside and then these parts on the sides on the inside. And because this is just Revell acrylic paint, it can be scratched off really easily here, as I can show you just with my thumbnail. Just a test fit. I think I'm going to remove those side windows. The door handles and these clips for the roof at the back were just done in a little bit of silver acrylic from Tamiya. And I decided to use a spare bit of this gauze to cover up the grille at the front. Used some orange gloss for these side indicators and a bit of red for the tail one here. Now the sun strip here with the kit decals is obviously the wrong size, so I printed off this orange strip onto white decal paper and then printed off this Mazda lettering onto clear decal paper. I tried doing them both together, but the ink bled, so doing them separately like this makes it really easy. And then decided to give it a little bit of a polish. It had been sprayed with some TS13 gloss clear and then left for a week. I then wet sanded it from side to side with this 3000 grit sandpaper until it was flattened down a little bit, and then used some Kent Models hyper polish, kind of one panel at a time. Just spread that out to start with, and then used a kind of quick motion with kind of a low pressure just with this polishing cloth. It didn't come out with a mirror shine, but I never really expected it to. I just wanted it to look a little bit more smooth, and you're always a little nervous polishing over decals. I added this aluminium tape to the back of the tail lights to add some reflectivity, and then used red and orange Sharpie to colour that in. Remember to leave the centre of the circles clear. Pretty happy with that. The front headlights were just done with some silver on the back, but then I decided to do them in yellow to make them more like GT headlights. Also found these spare racing style wing mirrors in the spare box. If you tape the window down like this, you can score along the edge and snap off the windows very carefully, then sanded down the edge so not to leave any roughness, and used some PVA to fit it into place. Now the bodywork actually is a little bit of a fiddle. It's not so difficult getting it into place in the back, but getting the 2 pins in the front is a bit of a pain. I borrowed these wheels, I say borrowed, I took them from the Fujimi Old Mini, and also had some spare Dunlop decals lying around. Now to fit the rear wing, I trimmed the arms a little bit and then secured it onto the number plate and then superglued that into place. For the roof, I decided to mask it off and paint it on the inside, which meant that it had a really nice smooth finish. When it dried, I then put down the decals just like I did on the bodywork. This roof can come and go, so, Now it's difficult to get the decals in exactly the same position as the real car because this silver square covers the entire roof, whereas this has got a rear window. So I played around a little bit with these sponsors and also the driver's names, settled on this position in the end. Also had this spare Mazda Speed decal, decided the rear window would be a good place for that to go. I scratch built this front lip out of some styrene sheet and then did some large kind of fins to go on the side. These were all done in black and then super glued into place. When I was happy with them, I added a little bit of carbon fibre decal to the side fins. making sure that the pattern of the carbon fibre matches on both sides, and also found this Mazda Speed decal that went on the front of the lip. When I was happy that all that had cured, I then added some photo etch screw heads onto this fin on the side. And I also found some little Mazda decals to go at the bottom. And there it is, finished. This car is done sort of as a hill climber or maybe a time attack car. Either way, it's a bit crazy, it's a what if build. I really like this livery. I think it really suits this car. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you prefer it with the roof or without the roof. I would like to build the proper 787B at some point, but considering it's pretty rare, this will have to do for now. Thank you very much for watching. Please do like, share and subscribe. Hit that bell icon if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you soon.